going on, everyone? My name is Ghiman Mckinney, or you can just call me Juice because that is my nickname. So I want to discuss the New York Jets in this video today. So the Jets have the 11th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. And in my eyes, in the first round, the Jets 100% should go offensive line. They need to address the offensive line with their first overall pick. Now, there are four really good offensive linemen that I really like in this draft. I do believe all four of them would fit in very well with the Jets. Tristan Wirfs, Mekhi Becton, Jedrick Wills, and Andrew Thomas. And I do think the Jets are high enough in the draft at number 11 for me to say that they can get one of those four players. And if they can't get one of those four players, I would suggest trading down and trying to select offensive lineman out of Houston, Josh Jones. To me, he's the fifth guy. Those four guys are in a class by themselves, but Josh Jones, to me, is the next best offensive lineman. Either way, you know, wherever you can get value in the first round, do it. But you got to go offensive line in the first round, in my opinion. Listen, the Jets' offense was 31st in the NFL last year, okay? 31st in scoring. That is almost dead last in the NFL. They also allowed the fourth most sacks in the NFL last year on offense. Not ideal. The Jets' offensive line is doo-doo. It's trash. Sam Darnold is constantly running for his life. And listen, I don't love Sam Darnold. I like him, but I don't love him. I think that he kind of plays reckless at times. He does throw a lot of interceptions. I don't like his judgment. I think he throws, like I said, just way too many interceptions. The turnovers really bother me. But I can at least grade Sam Darnold on a curve because the guy is 22 years old. Okay, he is 22 years old. You know, Joe Burrow, the quarterback out of LSU that is coming out this year, he's going to be a rookie. He's 23 years old. That just goes to show you how young of a player Sam Darnold is. And guess what? This is not even Sam Darnold's rookie season. This was his second season. So heading into his third season, he's going to be 22, 23 years old. So he's still a puppy. He's still learning the position. And to keep it $150 with you, the guy has no support. Outside of Robbie Anderson last year, and Robbie Anderson is no longer on the team. He signed with the Carolina Panthers. Sam Darnold virtually had no weapons to throw to, and he had a terrible offensive line. So I feel for Sam Darnold. I can't fully evaluate him until he actually gets some real talent around him. So the Jets, they need to protect Sam Darnold. Look, you can have all the weapons in the world, and the Jets, they don't have weapons, okay? They don't, all right? They don't have a whole lot of great wide receivers on their team. They need to improve that area of their team as well. I'll get to that in a little bit, but either way, I mean, look at the Cleveland Browns. They had Odell Beckham Jr., they had Jarvis Landry, they had all these elite weapons, but their offense didn't work because the offensive line was doo-doo. Baker Mayfield had no time to throw, and their offense was hindered. The Atlanta Falcons, once again, a lot of weapons. The Falcons have Julio Jones, they have Calvin Ridley, they had Austin Hooper last year. But guess what? The offense didn't do anything because the offensive line was just not that good. Matt Ryan is not a mobile quarterback. He needs some protection. And Sam Darnold has some decent mobility, but he's not Deshaun Watson. He's not Russell Wilson. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not one of these guys that's just going to avoid about 10 sacks each year just off his pure athletic ability. So you need to protect him. Now, there are some people that feel the Jets should draft CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy, two very good wide receivers. I believe they're the two best wide receivers in this year's draft. Jeudy went to Alabama, and CeeDee Lamb went to Oklahoma. Personally, if the Jets draft one of those two players, I'm not going to bash them because they're great players. And like I said, they need wide receiver help because Robbie Anderson is no longer there. But if I'm the New York Jets, I would go the boring route. I would take the boring pick. See, wide receivers grow on trees. That's the reality. They really do. The depth of the offensive line group in this year's draft is just not great overall. Once you get past Becton, Wirfs, Wills, and Thomas, it's a lot of guys I feel iffy about. This wide receiver class is the deepest wide receiver class in decades. You can get a stud wide receiver in the second, third, fourth, and even fifth round. Heck, Antonio Brown a couple years ago when he was drafted, one of the greatest wide receivers of our generation, at least my generation, he was a 6th round pick. Wide receivers are much easier to find in later rounds. You can get great value at the wide receiver position in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, even 5th round. You really can. And I love wide receivers. I love my Mike Evans. I love my Julio Jones of the world, okay? I would pay for a true number one wide receiver. But the truth is, you can find that number one wide receiver in the second, third, or fourth round. I'll give you an example. The top 10 leading receivers this past season: Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, Travis Kelce. He's a tight end, but we're going to count him anyway because he's a pass catcher. Okay, you need weapons. Devontae Parker, Keenan Allen, Kenny Galladay, Amari Cooper, DJ Moore, and Jarvis Landry. Let me put this in context for you. The leading receiver in the NFL this past year, Michael Thomas, as far as yards go, was not taken in the first round. And out of those 10 guys that I mentioned, only 4 of them were first-round picks. Only 4 of them were first-round picks, like I said. You can get an elite wide receiver later in the draft. It is much harder to find great offensive linemen later in the draft. Wide receivers grow on trees. You can find great wide receivers all over the place, okay? They're like running backs. You can find a great running back later in the draft. You don't need to spend a first-round pick on a running back unless you know someone is Calvin Johnson, unless you know someone for sure is Julio Jones. I'm not saying don't spend a first-round pick on a wide receiver because I do think there is some value to getting a stud wide receiver in the first round. But if you're unsure about these guys, and if you need help at other positions, like the Jets need help at offensive line, you don't reach for wide receivers. You take the boring pick. You go offensive line. I believe that's how you should build your team. And when we look at this past season, the top 5 rookie wide receivers as far as receiving yards go: A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, and Darius Slayton, all good players. None of them were taken in the first round. And everyone's saying this wide receiver class is so stacked. This wide receiver class is great. It's the best in decades. And it might very well be. But let me take you back to the 2015 NFL draft. Everyone was saying the same thing about that draft as this draft. The wide receiver class is loaded. We got the next Calvin Johnson in here. And the honest truth is that a lot of the guys in the first round in the 2015 NFL draft, when evaluating wide receivers, a lot of those wide receivers were overdrafted. I will give you all the wide receivers that were taken in the first round in the 2015 NFL draft. I'll list them off to you, okay? Amari Cooper, Kevin White, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar, Brashad Perryman, and Philip Dorsett. The only wide receiver from the 2015 draft class that was initially supposed to be the best wide receiver draft class in decades, only one wide receiver you can make the argument was worth a first-round pick: Amari Cooper. And even Amari Cooper, I look at him and I say he disappears in big games at times. You know, this past year versus Philadelphia in a must-win game for Dallas to potentially go to the playoffs, he disappeared. Versus the Patriots, he did not have a catch. The only wide receiver that was worth taking in the first round of that draft was Amari Cooper. Kevin White is a bust. Devontae Parker, he's a nice player, but he was in his 5th year this past year. That was the first time he reached 1,000 yards. Okay? He was overdrafted. Nelson Aguilar struggles with drops. He's not a first-round receiver. Go watch the film. Go watch the tape. Go look at the numbers. That's not a first-round receiver. He was overdrafted. Brashad Perryman, nice player, but overdrafted. And Philip Dorsett, he had Andrew Luck, and he had Tom Brady. The first couple years of his career, he's already on his 3rd team. He could not work with Tom Brady and Andrew Luck. He's entering a 6th season this upcoming year, and he's already on his 3rd team. He couldn't work with Andrew Luck and Tom Brady. Philip Dorsett is a first-round bust. My point is, take the boring pick, New York Jets. Wait in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round to draft a wide receiver, and I guarantee you that you will probably most likely be rewarded, in my opinion. Get Sam Darnold some protection, and please draft an offensive lineman in the 1st round. Be sure to comment where you agree with me and disagree with me. Love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.